Hey, welcome to the Biochemistry Academy. In today's video, we'll talk about the chapter 1 of project writing. Now, the chapter 1 of project writing is all about introduction. Now, it is divided into several segments, which include the background of the study or introduction, the statement of the problem, the aims and objectives of the study, the research questions, the justification of the study, the significance of the study, and the scope of the study. Now, the introduction should briefly place the study in a broad context, and it should highlight why it is important. It should define the purpose of the work and the significance of the work. Now, finally, it should briefly mention the main aim of the work and should highlight the principal conclusion. Now, the introduction should be kept comprehensible to scientists even outside your particular field or research. Now, we use an APS style of referencing. You remember, referencing meaning that you're referring to the owner that discovered a particular thing in science. Now, we use an APS style of referencing for in-text citation, which is by the author's surname and the year of publication. Now let us talk about the first one, the introduction or the background of study. Now it briefly introduces the field of the study with the historical development, explaining why it is important to investigate the specific topic. Now the background of study is usually from 1 to 2 pages, and it should be typically a concise overview. Now, an example of a background of study looks like this. Now, let's move to the next one, which is the statement of the problem. Now, the statement of the problem is a concise and concrete summary of the research problem that you seek to address. Now, it clearly defines the problem that you are addressing using specific language and avoids ambiguity, which shows the need for solution. It emphasizes the potential benefit of addressing the problem. It is usually 1 to 2 paragraphs, which is concise and direct. Now, an example of the statement of problem looks like this. Now, next we'll talk about the aims and objectives of the study. Now, it states the overall goal of the study. Now, the aim should be clear and achievable. It should list the specific objectives that guides your research. Now, this should be measurable and contribute to the aim. Now, when writing your aims and objectives, ensure that the objectives are SMART, specific, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. An example of an aim and objective of the study looks like this. Next is the research questions. Now, the research questions formulate questions which is derived from the objective to guide your data collection. Now, an example of a research question looks like this. Now, next, let us talk about the justification of the study. Now, the justification of the study explains why your study is important and necessary. It reinforces the significance of the problem and it highlights the potential contribution of your research, showing how it will advance knowledge or practice. It also addresses potential criticism or limitations. Now, it is around 1 to 2 paragraphs which emphasize the value of your research. An example of the justification of study looks like this. Next is the significance of the study. Now, the significance of the study, it discusses the importance and the potential impact of the research. Now, it explains the potential benefits of your research, who will benefit and how will they benefit from it. Now, its length is usually 1 to 2 paragraphs, which emphasizes the positive impact of your study. An example of the significance of study looks like this. Next, the final part of the chapter 1 or the final segment of the chapter 1 is the scope of the study. Now, the scope of the study defines the boundaries of your research, specifying what you will and will not investigate. It explains the limitations of your study. In your scope of study, be transparent about what you cannot cover. Justify the chosen scope. Show how it's sufficient to address the stated problem and objective. Its length is typically a concise paragraph outlining the research boundaries. Now, an example of a scope of study looks like this. Now, in our next video, we'll talk about the chapter 2 of project writing, which is literature review. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you.